All right, so Tyler came to me today and asked about changing tires, going back and forth on the gravel bike. And so this was a good opportunity to kind of talk about how to change tires over, but also discuss what you would do on the side of the road if in fact you got a flat. So what we're going to do is we're actually going to start from scratch. So first things first, if you have a flat, with most tires you can easily peel it off of the bead. It just kind of takes some elbow grease here. So with a flat tire, no air in it, you're just going to kind of pull this over and take it off completely. And you'd end up exposing what would be your bad tire or your tube, but also allows you to inspect the tire to make sure that you find the cause of the flat. It's either going to be glass or a thorn or some sort of damage to the tire that's going to be causing this, or you're running too low of pressure and you get what's called a pinch flat. I don't have an example here, but what you would end up with is two small holes that you'd call a snake bite, and you'd see them. And so one way you could check was you could actually add some air to this and find out where that came from and match it up with the tire. But today we're changing over a set of tires to be used more appropriate for road. And so what you always want to do is make sure that your tire is not directional, because there is a certain way to do that. This one says right here, rotation. So it's important to know that that's the direction that your rotation is going to go. And another trick is to line up the logo, or I think they call it the hot patch on a tire, with the valve stem. So when you have your hole, you can easily find it. It's kind of an old racing thing for changing a tire on the side of the road really fast, mountain biking, but at least you know. So the first thing we're going to do is put this on one side of the bead all the way around. Now this doesn't have to be perfect because you still got to get the inner tube in there, which we're going to do next. So now that you got the tire with one side of the bead, you can again use that theory of finding the logo and the valve hole, and you're going to pop that in and work your way around to make sure that your tube goes in nice and straight. Just take some time to make sure it's not twisted. So just add a little bit of extra time just to look for it. Again, the only thing that you're making sure you're looking out for is that when you put this on, and you always start at the valve stem, is that the tube is not sticking out from between the rim and the tire. And you're going to go around on both sides starting from this. Sometimes you have to kind of keep a hand on the other side to make sure it doesn't pop out. And what's going to happen, and this is what happened with Tyler here, is that it starts getting kind of hard to get over the bead because the tire is tight. And you're going to find that it's tighter or looser on different rims with different tires, temperature, all of that good stuff. So ideally, you're going to kind of just rub it with your knuckles to get it over, and without a tool, ideally you're going to be able to pop that over, which I think I'm going to be able to, and it's on. If it wasn't ideal, you'd have something like this tire lever, which you could then put in and pop it up and over. But again, make sure that none of this is sharp or pointed, because sometimes the act of doing that will cut the tire that you're effectively putting in there, and then your whole effort is useless and it just costs you $6 or $7. So you got the pump? Yes, I do. What I like to do before I put this back together is just kind of massage it. And you can actually look down here and see the rim and no tube. If in fact I had pinched the tube between the bead and the rim, I'd end up seeing it. So with no air, just kind of go through it and make sure you don't see anything, and that goes for both sides. Because what can happen is when you add air, it ends up pinching it in between, and the tube doesn't seat all the way, nor does the rim, and that can cause an accident or another flat. So, this thing you do, you want to give it a bunch of pumps. I'll tell you when to stop. So a normal road tire takes between like 80 and 100 pounds of pressure, but with seating this, you're going to stop right about there. So Tyler pumps it up to about 30. Pull it off, and again, look for it. Make sure that you're not pinching anything, because at this point is when you would cut the tube. Good to go there. And what I like to do after I pump it up for the first time is let all the air back out. You can actually kind of feel the tube inside of the tire kind of crinkle a little bit, and that just means that it's not pinched on anything. And then from here, we'll take it all the way up to
About 85.
85, yeah, for your body weight. There's a couple apps online. Victoria has an app. It's a tire company that you can go in and kind of talk about your equipment, talk about your body weight, talk about what kind of riding that you're doing, and they'll recommend a tire pressure. So what a lot of people don't know is tire pressure is important for performance, tire pressure is important for comfort, and tire pressure is important for flat prevention. So this same bike, let's say Tyler was going to be riding over some really rough, gravelly terrain, probably not the ideal tire for it, but he could work to prevent flats by adding more pressure. He's going to have a really bumpy ride, and it's not going to be comfortable, but that would be helpful in that situation. Likewise, if he had a tire that could handle those situations, sometimes you decrease pressure so that you get more traction, and of course, the jolting doesn't transmit up to your body. So that's basically how you mount a new tire and or change a flat on the side of the road. The tools that we needed was obviously a pump. Sometimes a hand pump works, a spare tire, and then worst case scenario, if things are tight, you always want to travel with 2 of these tire levers. That's it.